Good morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody joining us for this webinar where we're going to talk through Copilot for Microsoft 365. I can see we've got quite a lot of people on the call and look forward to taking you through this latest development in Microsoft technology. So a little bit about the agenda for today. We're going to talk through AI a little bit. We're going to talk about Copilot's features and capabilities. We're going to give you a demonstration of Copilot using some short presentations that Microsoft have put together. And then we're going to talk about deployment strategy, security considerations, and things like that that you need to consider. If everybody remembers the paperclip, this is the next evolution in Microsoft Office assistants. So to talk a little bit about AI and the development cycle that we've been through. If everybody's familiar with ChatGPT, that was a language model that was formulated and brought to market in around 3 months, which is phenomenal. And it goes to show how much we can achieve these days with the technology that we've got available to us. AI has actually been around for quite some time. We've had AI going back to the 1950s. We've had machine learning, which has been part of our lives for a very long time, where patterns are identified and picked up. But what's changed is the ability to turn that into human interactions and to be able to interact with people using natural language. And that's what's allowed us to see the developments in the landscape today. So what's changed? We're now talking about human levels of interaction where images can be recognized, patterns can be recognized, and AI can think like a human. So when we talk about an AI-powered organization, what do we mean? We're not talking about replacing humans with robots and AI. What we're talking about is optimizing their work, making their work more easy for them to do. So that's taking the foundational productivity that every organization has, using AI and automation to turn that organization into a high performance organization. So a few statistics here. These are Microsoft compiled statistics about people's use of time. I think we can all admit we have difficulty trying to find time and energy to do our jobs, looking for information that we find it difficult to find, and not having that critical thinking time that we need to develop. I've personally been using Copilot in its trial phase, and one of the things that I find it really useful for is actually just trying to find emails. I don't know if anybody's tried to find emails, and they always seem to return everything in the search apart from the one you actually want. Copilot's been really good at that, about trying to identify things. So even really small things, but things that just take a bit of time, AI can really help with. So there's a bit of confusion about all of the different Microsoft products that are available around AI. And I just wanted to take everybody through that to give them a bit of an understanding of what the different offerings are. So if anybody's been on bing.com, you'll notice that there's a chat engine in there that's been in there for the last 3 or 4 months and allows you to almost have a chat GPT-like conversation with a search engine in effect. That's Bing Chat. There's then Bing Chat Enterprise, which is a similar thing that's part of Office 365, which offers commercial data protection. I'll come on to what that means in a little while. And then there's Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is what we're talking about today. And the key difference with Copilot is that it has access to your company's data. So when you're asking it questions, these are not just general knowledge questions. These are questions about data that lives within your organization. Commercial data protection is important, and it's one of the key principles of the way Microsoft's AI models work. When you're chatting with the personal Bing chat, the public Bing chat engine, you are actually optimizing and training the AI model. So anything you type in there, you are using to train the AI model that other people may then benefit from. And that's something to be really, really aware of when we're talking about the security of corporate data. The Bing Chat Enterprise and Microsoft Copilot products isolate that data so that it's only used within your organization and is not used to train the larger model. It is possible to enable something called commercial data protection. Even if you're not intending to deploy Copilot, we recommend that you do this. CDP, when enabled, prevents people from using the consumer version of Bing Chat on your corporate devices, meaning that they can't inadvertently use corporate data to train the AI model. So even if you're not considering deploying Copilot at this stage, we'd recommend doing this just to make sure that you're not inadvertently leaking sensitive information to the world. So what is Microsoft 365 Copilot? It's a combination of principles which are security, compliance, privacy, and responsible AI. So Microsoft have really thought about this. There's a lot of concern around the dangers of AI, and they've really tried to think about how they can make this safe and secure for use in a business environment. So how does it work? It uses large language models. So these are the ChatGPT-esque models that we're all familiar with, where you can communicate with the model like it's a human being, and you can ask it human questions and it can respond. It then uses Microsoft Graph, which is Microsoft's suite of APIs that allow you access to all of the data that resides within your Microsoft 365 instance. So this is data in emails, Teams messages, SharePoint, etc. Anywhere that data resides. It then integrates with the Microsoft 365 apps, so all of the Office apps that you're used to using, and then data from the wider internet. The Copilot integrates with all the Office apps that you normally use on a day-to-day basis. There's a plugin for Teams, so you can chat with Copilot like it's a person in Teams. It sits within Outlook and makes suggestions on how you could write emails better, and you can even let it write responses for you. It sits within PowerPoint. You can ask it to use information it's got access to produce presentations. You can ask it to do things in Excel, like pull a graph together, and you can ask it to write something up in Word for you. So there's integrations in all of these apps. There's a few caveats I'm going to come on to after we've talked about the demonstrations, but fundamentally it sits within the Microsoft Office suite. What's important to note is Microsoft have made this a bit confusing, and there are also Copilots in other platforms such as Microsoft Dynamics, but they're not part of the Copilot for Microsoft 365 product. So just be aware of that. It's a separate product. So if we take an example of preparing for a company-wide address, things you could ask Copilot to do, you could ask Microsoft 365 Chat to catch up on what's been going on. You could ask it to meet with the exec team and grab some information. You could ask it to draft you a speech, make a presentation, look at some other information in Teams, and then you could get ready to draft a response in Outlook. So it can do all of this stuff for you to a good level of competency. And again, just to repeat that statistic, that 68% of people say they don't have enough focus time during the day. These sort of tools will allow them to do that. If we talk about another one, so we talk about solving a production issue. So we could get it to review some data in Excel. We could get it to search internal files or the internet for information. We could get it to review a whiteboarding session. We could get it to set up a meeting, and we could get it to send an email and put a presentation together as well. So these are all things that we're used to doing on a day-to-day basis, but it just takes the heavy lifting away from these tasks. So on to the big question, how much does it cost? And can I get it now? The answer to that is yes. So Microsoft made this generally available last week. This was an unexpected move. We as partners got told the day before that this was going to be released. It was actually due to come to market in July. So this is a considerable change in timescale. So as you can imagine, there's been a lot of interest around this that was unexpected. It's priced at £296.40 per user per year. And there are some restrictions that apply to this. So it's an annual commitment and you have to pay for the year up front. Microsoft are not offering a monthly payment on this plan at this time. I'm guessing they're seeing the popularity of the product and realizing that they don't have to offer those incentives. Similarly, if you're used to receiving discounts or incentives for whatever reason, such as being a charity, they do not carry forward to the Microsoft Copilot product at this point in time. But it is available to everybody. You can buy licenses, we can supply licenses for it, and have been able to as of last week. So I'm going to take you through a few videos that will show you how Copilot can be used in action. These are videos that have been produced by Microsoft and shared with the partner network, and then we'll discuss afterwards. So let's start off with using Microsoft 365 Chat.
Introducing Microsoft 365 Chat, a powerful new capability in Microsoft 365 to solve your most complex problems at work. Let's say you're a marketer at a national chain of home improvement stores, and you need to get the latest on the store opening. You start your day with Copilot, asking what's hot in your inbox today. It does some thinking and gives you an overview of the most pressing items. Great. Looks like the new store opening plans could use your attention. Let's dive in deeper there. Copilot combs through all your recent emails, chats, documents, and meetings, whether you attended them or not, to get you up to speed in moments. It didn't just summarize a single document. It knew what sources to pull from and what information to extract from each. Next, you need to do some market research. Let's say you want details on square footage and the proximity of competitors to your new location. M365 Chat scours the web, and within seconds, it finds everything you're looking for. And it includes references, so you can easily fact-check the results. You're curious, how does this stack up against the other stores you're opening in the past year? Copilot figures out which stores you mean, crunches the numbers, and gives you the answer. Next on your to-do list, finalize the date and speaker for the opening event. You missed the last meeting, and this might have come up in the conversation. Copilot's got you covered, getting you up to speed in seconds. Looks like it was a dynamic discussion, and it's your responsibility to make a final decision. To do that, you need to understand all the factors at play, including the implications they have on your grand opening timeline. Copilot extracts the relevant details and puts them in an organized table, which helps bring the full picture into view. You're not seeing a clear answer, so you ask it to recommend the best date and speaker based on the constraints discussed. It not only understands the constraints, it thinks through the options to help solve your problem. There you go. Now you have a clear recommendation, so you can make the call and notify the team. Now that you've got the opening date, you've got to get customers excited. Time to write a blog post. You point Copilot to the right files and ask it to tune the message to the audience. Note the amount of detail, such as asking it to pick the top 5 things and make them prominent. Here it goes. Copilot gets to work. Okay, now you've got a blog post. This store will be the first to unveil your new home improvement concierge service, and you need a catchy tagline. Let's generate some options. This is great for when you've got a case of writer's block. Here we go. These look pretty good. Lastly, you want to highlight the impressive retail experience of the new store manager. Best source for that? LinkedIn. Copilot generates an updated blog for you that includes the new additions. Now, the opening is just around the corner, and you've got to send an email to the team so they have everything they need to push this over the finish line. Now, one of the amazing things about Copilot is you don't need to worry about things like punctuation, spelling, or being super structured. You can give it a total brain dump. You could spend the next hour putting together an email that outlines the key details, but with Copilot, you're never more than a few seconds away from a solid first draft. There was a great quote in the store walkthrough video that you want to include, but you don't remember where you last saw it or have time to search for it, let alone re-watch it to find the quote. Based on your quick description, Copilot finds the exact video you're thinking of, extracts the quote you wanted, and plugs both the quote and the video into your email. So, you like the draft, but it doesn't sound like you. Introducing Sound Like Me in Outlook. Now you can personalize any email to match your unique style and voice. And check this out. It even knows your signature. M365 Chat is a whole new way to work.
Thank you for that. So you've seen there what Microsoft 365 Chat can do. That lives natively within Microsoft Teams, or you can use it on the web as a standalone application. Let's now move on to a demonstration of Microsoft 365 third-party plugins. So this is opening up the developer landscape to allow other applications to plug into Copilot. So you can bring line of business applications into Copilot, such as legal practice management systems, ERP systems, and anybody who wants to develop a plugin for these products.
Microsoft 365 Chat supports external plugins, enabling users to connect to external tools without switching apps. Let's say you need to book a trip. You can do all that with just natural language. You want to match the itinerary of a colleague? M365 Chat can pull those details directly from an email they sent you. You can then ask it to help you book the same itinerary. Here, it uses the Citric Easy App plugin from Amadeus, which makes travel booking a breeze. It generates an itinerary for you, where you can select from other flights or view the final details to confirm the specifics of the trip before purchasing. Simply click Book and you're done. M365 Chat supports third-party plugins from any data source, so you can stay in your flow of work without needing to change screens.
Great, and that showed you how to use third-party plugins. Obviously, the landscape of that is rapidly developing. There's an awful lot of plugins that have not yet been built due to how quickly this has come to market, but we expect that to open up over time with application vendors creating custom plugins. Let's talk now about using Copilot in Outlook. So this is about following a meeting that you can't attend.
Copilot in Outlook can help you prioritize your time and stay on top of meetings. Here, you've been invited to a meeting that conflicts with another meeting you're already attending. Clearly, you can only attend one. From the meeting invite, you can choose to RSVP with Follow. Switching over to your calendar, you can see that you're now following this meeting. Once the meeting starts on Teams, the organizer will receive a notification to record the meeting because someone is following it. Now, after the meeting is done and the recording is ready, Copilot will notify you that the meeting recap is ready for you to review. You can then ask Copilot some questions about the meeting, like, summarize this meeting, or, are there any action items for me? That way you can stay on top of things as if you were present during the meeting.
Some fantastic capabilities there. Then let's talk about Copilot in Outlook and how you can use that to help you manage your emails.
Copilot in Outlook helps you stay on top of email. You have important emails to respond to. Copilot can help you separate the signal from the noise and give you hours of time back. It helps you triage your inbox so you can prioritize the most important emails. And Copilot helps you on the go in Outlook Mobile. It can summarize long email threads. You can draft a reply, use data from an Excel file, and Copilot will generate a reply for you. You can edit it. You can make it more concise, change the writing style, or add more context. Now all that's left to do is review the proposed response and hit send. It's a productivity game changer.
And let's have a look at Copilot in Microsoft Word.
Copilot in Microsoft 365 can help you unleash creativity at work. Imagine you need to create a rock-solid proposal to win the business, and you don't have time for writer's block. You can use Copilot to draft a proposal based on your customer notes in OneNote, as well as another internal document. Copilot scans the target files and gets to work, quickly generating a first draft with all the key details from the files you provided. Now, let's say you want this to look like your previous proposals. Copilot can give you a draft in the format you typically use. It inserts product images and pulls in relevant visuals from other files. You can include a short summary at the top of the document. And Copilot can make suggestions to strengthen the proposal, like adding an FAQ, which it will generate for you to refine.
When it comes to creativity, sometimes getting started is the hardest part. But how about when you want to add a visual to a text-heavy document? Now, with the new Designer integration in Copilot, you can effortlessly bring your ideas to life visually. Designer uses the context of your document to propose some visuals to choose from, and you can make it more personal by uploading your own photos. Within moments, you can create a custom graphic right in your document. Designer is the latest addition to our family of Microsoft 365 consumer apps. Powered by new generative AI, it allows you to create and edit visuals, giving you everything you need to make your projects pop. Within moments, Designer quickly transitions your idea into a custom graphic with options to choose from. Once you select a design, you can customize your graphic further with new generative AI image editing features. Need to erase that unwanted object in the background? Like perhaps someone or something that takes away from the true star of your photo. Just hover and click. And sometimes your picture may not fill the full frame, but now you can expand any image to really make it shine. Done. You can even add an entirely new object. Or maybe you just want to mix it up a bit. By leveraging the DALL-E 3 image editing model, it's as simple as using your imagination and your words. What used to require specialized software and photo editing skills can now be done in just a few clicks.
And finally, let's talk about using Copilot in Excel.
Copilot in Excel helps you make sense of all your data. Say you need to analyze this quarter's sales results. You start by asking Copilot to analyze the data and give you 3 key trends. Within seconds, you've got what you need. But you want to drill in. You ask Copilot a follow-up question about one of the trends. Copilot creates a new sheet, giving you a sandbox to play in and helping you better understand what's happening. You ask Copilot to visualize what contributed to the decline in sales growth this period. Copilot adds a little color to make the problem jump off the page. Now you want to dig deeper and ask a follow-up question with a what-if scenario. Copilot not only answers your question, it creates a simple model and even asks if you want to learn more about what it did with a step-by-step breakdown. Finally, you can ask it to create a graph of your projected model. Copilot in Excel turned a sea of data into clear insights and actions.
Thanks for listening through all of those short videos. I want to quickly talk about the real world. So what you've just seen are a lot of Microsoft marketing videos that are obviously meant to demonstrate the product at the very top end of its capabilities. So how is it really performing? Let's just quickly cover that. It probably does about 80% of what you've seen to a very high level of reliability. But there are challenges. If I take, for example, the Outlook plugin currently only works in the new version of Outlook, which means If for whatever reason you've got line of business applications or you can't use the new version of Outlook because it's missing features you need, then it's not available to you at this point in time. There are also things that it's not so great at. So if I use an example, I asked it to extract some information that was available in a spreadsheet. It could tell me where the spreadsheet was, but it couldn't find the information in the spreadsheet. I had to do that manually. So I think this is a rapidly evolving landscape, and Copilot will only continue to get better and better. But I do want to set expectations that if you deploy this, do not expect it to do everything flawlessly, because there's still a way to go in terms of the product's development at this point. Let's talk about deployment considerations. So things you need to consider before you deploy Copilot. It's not just a case of turning it on. You have to be particularly cautious, and we'll go into why that is. So Copilot gets its information from three main sources. It gets information from the internet. It gets information from its language model. So this is the model that's been trained and is able to interact with humans. This is the model that continues to be trained by people using the consumer version of Bing Chat. But crucially, it has access to all of your company data in Microsoft 365. That means it can access everything that you can access as a user, even if you don't know you can access it. So if we talk about risks, if we talk about privacy risks, so Microsoft Copilot is going to find data that you can access. So if someone's giving you access to a folder or a share of data in SharePoint, then you're going to be able to see that data. You might not know that you've got access to it, but Copilot does. And when it goes hunting for information to answer your questions, it will dive into that data, which is obviously a pretty significant risk, as we'll come on to. You also have to be careful with data integrity. So if somebody's created something that's incorrect, someone's created a policy that's incorrect or something like that, or there's an email that says that you should do something in a particular way, it's going to pick up on that, and it might inadvertently use that information, and you not intend it to do that. So that's another thing you have to be really careful with. Obviously, it's an AI model, so it might get things wrong. You have to realize that you can't rely on it to produce information on its own. It has to be reviewed and signed off by a human to make sure that the information is correct. Another thing you also need to bear in mind is that it can only see data that's stored in Microsoft 365. So if you've got data that's in a traditional file share, for example, Copilot can't see it. If you've got information in an ERP system or a CRM product where these plugins have not yet been built, Copilot can't see that data as well. So what impact does not having a complete view of all of the information you need have on Copilot's ability to do its job? Something you need to consider. So let's talk about deployment strategies and how you should go about rolling out Copilot. So first of all, you need to check that data and permissions are correct. You need to put guardrails in place, set policies and procedures around how you're going to use it within your organization, and make sure that people have just got enough access. You don't have people with access to things that they just don't need, because that increases the risk of them being able to access data in Copilot and Microsoft 365 chat. Making sure that old data is deleted is another crucial one as well. Perhaps you have several versions of company policies, procedures, manuals. If Copilot suddenly picks up on the wrong version, there's a chance that it could give incorrect information. You have to make sure that things that are coming out of Copilot are correct, and you have to make sure that there's a balance between using Copilot and manual editing too. So here are some scary scenarios when we talk about some of these. These are all questions that you could ask Copilot. You could ask this in Microsoft 365 chat. and say, can you tell me what someone's salary is? Can you tell me why that person was off sick? Can we have some legal information about this? And this is the huge challenge with Copilot, is if that person has access to that information that they might not even know that they have access to, either because someone shared it with them or because they've got permission to a SharePoint site that they've never seen before and didn't know they could see, or perhaps they've got access to somebody else's inbox that they were granted, and again, they didn't know they had access to that. They had access to someone else's calendar, perhaps. All these sources of information could potentially result in unintended consequences. So you have to be really careful when you deploy this. And this is why we recommend, after this webinar today, please do not come to us and say, can we just have some licenses and turn it on? You're putting yourself in a very risky position by doing that. So you need to make sure all your data is in the right place. You need to make sure that you're following industry policies, procedures. You might even need to update some of your terms and conditions around the use of AI. This is quite a hot topic at the moment because of the way data is processed. And you probably need to train users to understand that they can't rely on this as a single source of truth, and that they still have to do some work on it themselves. So Microsoft have built this all around trust. So the key principles of this are that your data is your data. Anything that's used in a corporate environment is not used to train the models. So you can quite happily give it your corporate information, and that's not going to be used for other people's benefit, like it would be with something like ChatGPT, for example. All of the Microsoft 365 standard security pieces apply to this. Microsoft have committed to a copyright commitment, which protects your data from copyright risks, and guardrails have been built into the product around all this. So actually, as a good example, as I asked some questions this morning about, could you find out this information about someone's salary? And Copilot actually just came back and said, no, I can't help you with that. So Microsoft are being cautious in the way they're deploying this and realizing the risks, but you still have to be careful. We've already covered some of this, but yeah, Copilot can see, this is the most important thing you need to understand, is Copilot can see data that people may not even realize they've got access to, and that it could have massive unintentional consequences. So we've got a Microsoft Copilot readiness assessment service that we're able to provide. Microsoft advise that all businesses that are looking to deploy Copilot do this before they roll it out. We would strongly advise that you don't rush to deploy it until you've carried this exercise out. We can price this on a per customer basis. Obviously, it depends on a lot of factors like how much data you've got, where it sits, and how complex your Microsoft 365 configuration is. And we'll look at things like, for example, it can't see data cross tenants. So if you've got multiple Microsoft 365 tenancies because you've got different companies, Copilot can't see data in other tenancies. So that is a limitation or factor to you being able to use it. We'll look at security, we look at data governance, and we'll look at how much data is really old and outdated, and actually, do you need to archive or remove that so that Copilot can't see it. This is the process that we'll go through to help you implement Copilot. So we'll assess, and then we'll come back and discuss what can be done, and then we'll help you build a plan to make the changes that you need to make the best use of Copilot. And we're here to help. We are relatively new to this, as is every Microsoft partner. It's a rapidly changing landscape, but we have in the background for the last 6 months been working with Microsoft and our Microsoft partners to help us get ready to be able to offer these services. So we have already got a head start on being able to help you. And that's everything. We realize that lots of you probably got questions. If you'd like to relay these through your account manager, they'll be happy to discuss options. We can set up calls, all that sort of thing. So thanks for joining today, and I hope you found that useful. we'll be sending around a feedback request at the end. And if you could give us some feedback on how we can do better and what you'd like to see in future webinars, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.